I mean, I'm fine with being loud, boy.
I turned you down again, so you should be okay now. Do you want to talk quick, Manwalrus? Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Manwalrus. I'm the support for Vortex. Hi.
Yeah, so that's our this week. So for anyone who doesn't know, the scheduling once again kind of fucked. So we are doing 2 weeks like we did last time, back to back, because we didn't have a good spot to put the weekly review. To be honest, this one's not even that good because our predictions, as you're gonna see, are like missing one game because a game got played out of order. But whatever, no big deal, boys. So let me just grab Reno this slideshow up now. Should be enough time for people to join the stream, or they can rewind and watch the VOD if they want. But I'm gonna get this shit started. So starting with the beginning, we're gonna go through our week 7 to 8 review. So we actually did our predictions for week 7, but as I said, week 8 we didn't end up getting any put through. So anyways, for week 7, Vortex vs Desolate has not been played yet. That's the one game I was saying that's kind of out of order, that hasn't been played yet, that we predicted on, although we all did guess the exact same thing. And then as for surprise games, I'll go through and say the Hash vs Spell It Chat game I think would have most people surprised. Maybe not so surprised after knowing what the hell happened to Spell It Chat's roster, but literally every single person on this show predicted a 2-0 for Spell It Chat, and they got 2-0'd by Hash. So what are you guys thinking, like, movement-wise for both teams? Like, how surprising was this for you, considering Spell It Chat's roster moves?
Go, man, let's go.
Alright, so I was, obviously, everyone was surprised when this happened, but it's kind of been a while coming if you've been watching, like, Hash at all, because the Lagrude's been doing so well in the bot lane, along with Puff Nasty. It's obviously a surprise, but after Mango left Spell It Chat, it seemed like he was by far their strongest player, and it also seemed like their mental wasn't so great as a unit. Obviously, I'm outside the team, but that's just kind of what the general perception was. It was definitely reinforced when Werpack was kicked, like, I believe after the series.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like Hash played a lot more as a team, where Spell It was kind of solo queue warrior mode. Even their pick ban seemed a little weird. They're like blind picking Kassadin, and they have like Yorick and I think Jax for top lanes. So they're just kind of trying to solo queue warrior, just like crush their lanes. But Hash actually played it really good. They have a new jungler as well, Jackie Chan, who's been playing really good for them, and just kind of helped dump on the mid lane matchup in game 1, and then top lane more so game 2. So yeah, looking really good for them. And then moving on to the week 8 matchups, obviously no one predicted on it, but I actually I have my own matchup written wrong here. Now I'm looking at it. We 2-0'd IRL Sluts. We were not 2-0'd by IRL Sluts. I'll fix that one on the sheet after this.
Unlucky.
Yeah, unlucky brain fart. I was just spamming 2-0s. But yeah, so once again, Spell It Chat continuing from last week, losing to Hash, got 2-0'd by Jabezus. I think most people would agree Jabezus is probably a better looking team than Hash, like historically. So I don't think too many people were surprised when they Spell It Chat got 2-0'd again. They did get a new mid laner this time, so weren't using Werpack. Another Werpack played particularly bad in their last series, but it seemed to be a bit of contention with the team, with them all screaming at him. So probably better for their mental if he's not on the team. And then I guess I can ask for you guys, since you're outside the team, were you guys surprised by the outcome of the Gothboy Click vs IRL series going 2-0 for Gothboy?
No.
Yeah, no, I wasn't really.
Okay.
Now that, like, Spell It Chat fell off with, Mango and Warpack leaving / getting kicked, Spell It Chat's fallen off. I mean, my team's fallen off.
Yeah.
And Godfight Click's like the only surviving, like, strong team of the two.
Well, that were typically rated top 2. Vortex, however, is still looking really good. They got a pretty easy end of the season right now. So they just played Teemo, literally right before this show, where we got the 2-0 in there. And then their only remaining game is against Desolate, who I think is either last or second last. We have the standings right after this, but Vortex is pretty locked to go undefeated. So Gothboy has to also win their next series, which is against kind of a crumbling Spell It Chat. So I think we're pretty expected to 2-0 that as well. But here, I'm just going to go ahead and go to the standings. I'm just going to skip the prediction leaderboard real quick, just because I want to talk about this point. So for people who don't know, the way they do the tiebreaker isn't based on head-to-head. It's actually based on the game win percentage. So right now, Gothboy Click is up with a 13-3 game win percentage over Vortex's 12-5.
We've entered
But
too many game
if
twos.
Vortex were to go 2-0, and then we were to go 1-2, that would put us at 14-5, and that would put them at 14-5. So we would actually be completely tied on game win percentage and series, in which case it would go to head-to-head, and then Vortex would have the win. So basically, if Gothboy Click doesn't 2-0 this next series, and Vortex goes as expected and does 2-0 the next series, then Vortex will actually pull ahead and be the #1 team moving on. So basically, if they 2-0, they force us to have to 2-0, or they get the #1 spot. I mean, we're both getting buys either way, but it gives you the choice of who you want to play against in the second round of playoffs. So anyways, moving back.
Wait, I want to point out something real quick. Teemo is out of contention for 6th place.
Team O. Yeah, I actually just edited the leaderboard, so I didn't actually move them around. They should be below Desolate right now. But I believe they are out of contention because
they're 3-7. There's no.
Yeah, I think they have all their games played. Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes,
they have all 9 of their games. So Teemo is now out. So it's not an official person updating it. I just updated the standings so I could show them. That's why it doesn't say that they're out yet, but they are. So it's basically a competition between Hash and Desolate for the last playoff spot, and obviously Hash is a huge head start right now. So the main thing is that if Desolate actually gets like the miracle turnaround and beats Vortex, giving themselves 2 wins, they would not only be tied with Hashling Slashers in both being 4-5, assuming Hash loses the next series, that is. They would also have more game wins than them as well, because they'd automatically have 2, which would put them at 6, right? So if Hash gets 2-0'd and Desolate wins the series in any number of games, they'd actually pull ahead for 6th. But obviously they're assuming Hash, who's on a huge winning streak, is losing, and that's assuming Desolate actually manages to beat Vortex, who's considered a huge favorite over them. So pretty iffy, but Desolate does still have some hope in making it to playoffs, but that's the only situation they can make it right now. Yeah. Anyways, moving back quickly to our prediction standings. For anyone who doesn't know, again, it's 1 point for correct winner, 1 point for getting the actual correct number of games in the series. It's been getting worse as it goes along. Week 6, we didn't have any predictions. Week 8, we didn't have any predictions just because schedule is getting muddled. But so those are all going to be zeros. But week 7, we actually did, and I was the only person so far to get a series correct, just because Spell It Chat crumbling and a lot of other stuff going wrong. So I actually predicted. Let me move back quick so I can look at it. Which one was it? I got the IRL Sluts versus Jabezus match right. So I was the only one that predicted that IRL Sluts would win. So that's why I have 1 point. So I'm now tied with the guests in overall points. And Astrus is behind me by just 1 correct winner, which is just a correct winning team. Anyways,
it's real bad.
Moving on to our predictions of the week 9. Let's go through these quick. So the only ones we're actually to predict are Gothboy versus Spell It Chat, because Desolate and IRL Sluts have actually already played. So that's already a thing. And anyways, the only match we have to actually talk about is Spell It Chat versus Gothboy Click and Jabezus versus Hash. So I gave ourselves
wait. Did Desolate 2-0? No, wait, it's the other way around. IRL 2-0.
Yeah, that's another 2-0 I were wrong.
Pug has been a little bit messy.
I'm doing real good today. I'll fix it afterwards. I just kind of skimmed that one because we weren't predicting on it. So you are correct, iGlory. It is wrong. I'll fix it on the sheets when everyone looks at it afterwards. Don't really want to alt tab to fix it right now because obviously you would see me fixing it. But yeah. So anyways, talking about the other series. I predicted 2-0 for Gothboy Click against Spell It Chat just based off of Spell It Chat losing 2 series in a row, and one of them being to Hash, who I think most people consider one of the weaker teams previously. So I'm pretty confident going to Astrus. You gave Spell It Chat 1 game, but you still gave us the win. So
yeah, I just think after all the roster moves we've lost, well, I say we've, I'm benched, so whatever. They lost Mango, Vortex gone. 2 very strong players, Vortex probably on the lower scale of that. Either way, Gothboy Click has still looked like the strongest team in the whole tournament. So I think if Spell kind of gets it together, we actually have a roster now. A 7-man roster actually. So if we got some practice time together, so it looks like we can actually win games, and games are tomorrow, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of games tomorrow. I believe Vortex is playing tomorrow. We're playing tomorrow. I'm not sure if there's any others, but yeah, there's like everyone's trying to finish before August, so like the next like 3 days are like all of the remaining games basically.
I still think Golf by Click wins, but I think we take a game.
Yeah. Another one I'll let Manwalrus talk about is the Hash versus Jabezus set. So how come you gave Hash the heads up as I did as well on the win, which I think most people would probably disagree with?
So we'll get into this in power rankings. I think that Jabezus are a more complete team than Hash, but I think that Hash not only have the underdog factor of everyone's just kind of been shitting on them all season long on their side, but also they're coming into this series really, really hot. So I think that they definitely, I think it's still going to be a close series, but I think in terms of, you know, the momentum going in, Hash have a lot more. As to where Jabezus, they've kind of been a little bit rocky lately.
Yeah, I also gave it to him just based off of the mental kind of fortitude factor because, as you said, Hash had a really rough beginning of the season and they kind of just held it together and pulled out some wins. They had some close series even in their losses at the beginning of the season, right? So I think they've kind of proven they can be a team that can be tough and like scrap it out, and they've got a really solid roster now. And I think Jabezus has been actually like really tilting in some of their series towards the end. They had a good series versus Spell It Chat, but especially against us, they were really tilting it out. So that's the reason I think it's probably going to be a 3-game series, and I think Hash just has probably stronger heads in their shoulders. So that's why I gave them the 2-1.
You guys are dumb. I'm pretty sure this is like I still think this goes to game 3 100%, but I still think that they have that Jabezus has stronger players just in general. Like even with the new jungler, which honestly is probably a 1v9 player for Hashlinging, or sorry, a 2v8 player because they have little group bot lane. I still think the rest of GB is just stronger across the board.
Yeah.
I don't think that they honestly win in a 3-game series.
Moving on to our overall team power rankings, so I guess we can discuss a bit more of this. Maybe surprised that both me and Manwalrus have Jabezus still as the higher team over Hash. This is mainly just because the power rankings are more so who I think is going to do well going into playoffs, right? And Hash doesn't even fully locked in their playoff spot yet, so I can't really put them as like a top team right now, in my opinion, in the power rankings until they're like really locked in above Jabezus. And obviously Jabezus has like the better historical record. I think me and Manwalrus actually might have the exact same. Yeah, we have the exact same rankings. The only thing any of us are disagreeing on are Vortex versus IRL and Spell It Chat versus Hash. So since Astrus is the one with the different ones from me and Manwalrus, I'll let you talk a bit about it.
I'm going straight off of head-to-head with IRL and Vortex. IRL beat Vortex, I believe it was 2-0.
We beat IRL 2-1.
No. Wait, hold up. Am I wrong?
We 2-1 IRL sluts.
Yeah, Vortex has only lost one series, which was the
I looked at the wrong thing. I'm trolling.
We lost week 1 to Spell It Chat.
I looked at IRL versus Vortex. Okay, let me switch that around. If you're looking at that, don't look at it. But the Spell It Chat versus Hashling, I still believe. Yeah, we lost Hashling. Whatever, who cares? We're going through roster issues, which we already said. We already talked about 5 minutes ago. Outside of that, though, I still think we have stronger players than them. Same thing with Hash. They're just getting the team back together. You feel me? A lot of teams already have been playing together for the most part. Like as majority of their players have been together, and they've had more synergy than us. And I think we literally just get more practice games in, going into playoffs would be better off.
Yeah. Another thing I'll say is now that Spell It Chat's kind of out of the picture, I think Manwalrus' team Vortex also really moves up. I think a lot of people are still putting Gothboy number 1 just because us and Spell It Chat were kind of the original 1 and 2, and Vortex kind of Dark Knighted their way up, like underdog wins over and over again, right? But if you actually look at it like historically, Vortex's loss was in like week 1 or 2, I think, and then they've just like literally been like steamrolling their way through all the top teams.
Yeah, we're 7-0 after
this number 1 and 2 is super close. I'm obviously gonna put like my own team that I know more about, like the inner workings of, like number 1, but I actually think it's like super. I don't really know who's the better team right now because Vortex has also been looking super clean in their wins. I like to actually ask Manwalrus why you put us above your team still.
Well, So the only reason that I haven't definitively called this is obviously we won the series 2 games to 1, but it's kind of hard to tell. There's a lot of question marks in that series because Knight of the Zed didn't actually play. So it's kind of difficult, and also a lot of our like series wins have been like, you guys have the better game record for a reason, right? Like we int super hard in game 2s a lot of the time. So we have to play like a lot of 3-game series. I believe most of the 3-game series in the entire league have been our series. So our wins are not as clean, and I don't think we have as much strategic diversity as Gothboy Click.
Okay, so I don't think we have to talk too much about the bottom end with. I think we've gone in enough about what happened to Spell at chat, and I think most people know what's going on with Desolate and Teemo. They're kind of just there trying to cuck other teams from getting good playoff spots right now, for the most part, playing the cuck role. I mean, I appreciate that they're sticking it out and just trying to do their best to scrap it out and pull out a win, fuck over other teams. So let's move on quickly to our top 5 each role. So I'm just going to display all a little bit different from how we do it before. So I'm just going to display them all at once so we can kind of just talk about what's different instead of each of us like repeating the same points for a lot of the players that we agree on. So I'm just going to let Manwalrus go through first and just justify whoever he thinks you need to justify on your list, and then we can ask each other questions about their list as well.
Well, I guess I'm going to be defending some of my own teammates here, I guess, because I have Rex obviously over you, and I have a Loker over Knight of the Zed, and myself obviously over Powerfully. Rex, I'm just saying, just in this pure 1v1 matchup, he basically popped off versus you guys in the Gothboy Click series. He's like a big part of why we won it. It's obviously been between you and Rex for like the, who's, the second best after Mango for the longest time, but now that he's kind of out of the picture, it's really up in the air. I think it's close. I'm giving the nod to Rex not only because he's my teammate, but because we did win the head-to-head matchup. Jungle's a little bit interesting because, so Loker and Knight of the Zed, they never played each other because obviously Knight of the Zed was subbed out for that series. He couldn't make it or whatever happened. But I've played with both of these junglers, and I think they're both really, really good, and I think it's really close. Jungle, I think, is by far the most like stacked role in the league. And the reason I have Loker here, not only obviously because of like, bias, but Loker is our early game leader, basically. He's super, super, super vocal at not only just in the early game, but in all stages of the game. Aizen takes over a lot, like some of the shot calling later on, but he's basically the person that is the catalyst for literally everything we do. So, it's basically, I think that I would choose that personally, even though I think they're both very good junglers. And then, the other big discrepancy is just me versus Powerfully. We have 2 different styles of playing. Obviously, I'm more of an enabler, and Powerfully's more of like a roamer, like playmaker. And it was weird because after we beat Gothboy Click, I wasn't really convinced that Powerfully was all that good. But then he picked up the Pyke, he picked up the Zyra. He actually impressed me a lot, even though like we kind of dismantled Drowsy and him in lane in our series. So that's kind of just why I'm putting myself there. I think I've earned it at this point after beating all the other supports on this list. And, I've been, sticking around this league since good old Prophecy Cup Season 2. So I'll pass on to you guys.
Yeah, just to go off that point of Powerfully versus Manwalrus, I think it's really big contention. I think it's kind of, in my opinion, the thing of pop-off player versus, like, stable player, right? Like, I think Manwalrus' playstyle is a lot more of like the Taric and like the kind of team fighty more champions, and then he consistently does good in lane or wins lane and doesn't really lose bot that often, and just sets up Eson and sets up his team good for team fights. So I think Powerfully has been like pretty much the only support to have like big, like he solo carried the game performances and support, right? So he's not as consistent as Manwalrus, but I do think that Powerfully, I'd putting him up just because he's the only support that's like consistently getting like MVP performances on the support position. So that's kind of my logic for why I have him above him. But I also will say that I think Manwalrus is the most consistent support right now for just straight up winning lane and transitioning into team fights well.
Talking about support still, man. Manwalrus is obviously the best one that we've seen on all together. Like in a team setting, Powerfully being the second because he he has a role in his team, which is basically like secondary jungler. Other than that, the Manwalrus is definitely better. For top lane, I think I've seen Rexalis play better than Fug. It's honestly a toss-up between the two, but I think the big thing that I need to talk about on my list is independence above DTS. I'm looking at DTS playing me in chat already, so it's whatever. But I'm gonna defend putting DTS second to the day I die. I still think that I talked about independence last week and the weeks before, and I was like, hey, this guy's like, whenever they're like winning, he's like the winning factor for this team, and whenever they're losing, he's definitely not the reason why they're losing. Outside of the series against DTS specifically, but I think every other series other than that, he's been playing like almost insane every single game. So I don't see a reason not to put him above DTS, because I don't think DTS has been the biggest factor for his team winning, and he's definitely been a losing factor for his team when they lose too. Other than that, I don't really have anything that I would say is kind of outlandish, except maybe Edzy above Drowsy.
Well, okay, one thing I'll say that I just saw someone in chat asking about is you're the only person that put Josidon above Poppy Chulo.
I think Josidon is honestly a stronger player. Yeah, Kiyoshi downloads his top laner at some point throughout the series, but other than like getting maybe 1 or 2 solo kills on him, he doesn't really do as much for a team as Josidon does. Kiyoshi will definitely go and he's definitely going to download Josidon at some point in the series. He's definitely going to probably download Rexalis. I still don't think Kiyoshi is a big of a impact on his team than the other 3 players I have.
Okay, my point for putting Poppy Chulo is, okay, from playing against him, I think that excluding when he's playing like the Gnar or whatever, he's not someone who like shits on lane and gets like a big CS advantage, but he does seem to get like random kills against top laners a lot, where Josidon really only does that on the Mundo. I think Chulo's actually looked better on a wider variety of champions, right? Like he's played the Garen, he's played Aatrox, he's shown that he can play the Gnar, right? And he still can look good on like Ornn and Mundo and stuff too, right? Where I think while Josidon's probably had a more consistent career overall, I think that it's just because he gets Mundo like 70% of his games.
I'd 100% rather have a consistent player across the board than a player that is not going to be consistent. Like I said, like he's going to download him at some point, but he's not going to be out there carrying you or out there doing his job.
Yeah, but Josidon's not out there carrying either, is all I'm
but
saying.
like I said, he's outside doing his job every single game.
So
he's playing a tank just to sit there. Yeah, go.
Can I give my 2 cents? So the reason that I have Kiyoshi over Josidon now is actually just not only because of their like 1v1 matchup in the series, is actually because, so a lot of the time, right, I wasn't really like super sold on Kiyoshi because it's like, oh, he just picks Ornn every game and like occasionally just downloads someone, right? But what I saw in that game that was different is he pulled out the Garen, which is like a really weird counter pick that he picked versus us too, that actually seemed very strong. And it seems like now that, along with him doing really well in the Gnar, more like some more slightly more carry oriented champions than, you know, previously just being on like Ornn or some tank every game. It definitely, IRL having a threat in the top lane definitely makes them a much scarier team than they were previously, I would say. That's...
Yeah.
Why are we talking about that top laner when we're talking about you put Freshburger 5th?
Yeah, I'm just putting Freshburger 5th because, I mean, if you watch the series versus Josefumi, game 1 is like whatever. He didn't really win lane. Like I think he was like 0-3 coming out of lane, but like he also was like even in CS, and it's not like Josefumi was like running it down top, and then he got like 2 kills in a team fight and his team ended. Like neither top laner had really any impact. Then the next game was the legendary Freshburger solo kill under turret without even using Mundo ult at level 6. So where he just dicked on Josefumi's Jax in lane, and I think like just head to head he like looked like more impactful. Like I felt like, okay, excluding the one Mundo game Josefumi had where he went like 10-4, I felt like Josefumi just kind of like exists top lane on a scaling champion, and their team gets behind and he never does anything. Like obviously not his fault that his team doesn't pull him time to scale on these champions, but like I don't think Josefumi's out there like hard carrying games. I think from knowing both players and knowing how good Josefumi is, I think Josefumi, I would probably rate him above Freshburger, right? But just from their actual performances they've done, I think Freshburger's actually had more impactful performances overall than Josefumi's had, and like the outcome of the game in general, right? I think, as I said, the Josefumi had like the one really good Mundo game, but that was like about it, right? Where Freshburger's had like a bunch of games where he just dumped on top lane. Like maybe his team didn't win, but neither did Josefumi's team, right? So it's like same.
Wait,
difference that you
Freshburger's
can
not even
argue.
like dumping on top lane though. He'll get like a kill, and then he'll just mess up his lane, and then he'll mess up any pressure he has. That's like my biggest problem with playing Fresh anywhere in top 5 or like saying anything good about Fresh is that he'll get a lead, and then just completely flub it like every single time. Like I've never seen Fresh go and do something that's like proactive to winning a game outside of like probably like one play, and then that one play everyone's like hyping him up, and then after that he just literally does nothing with his lead, or he'll try to do something and he's the absolute worst thing he could ever do. That's like my whole problem with putting him anywhere top 5. I put him top 5 one of the weeks because he like played really well, but then every other week he's done the exact same thing and it's disappointed me.
Yeah, I guess my main thing would be I think Josefumi's like what are they 0-4 or 0-6 with him on the roster. I'm trying something like that. And I think he didn't win any games when he was on Desolate either. So like Josefumi's good, but like it reaches a point where it's like if you lose enough games, like I can't put you top 5, right? Like I don't know. At least that's my opinion. I guess it's a little like win-loss bias, but like I feel like you're not doing something right after a while, right? So anyways, my other question I have, just because we all have a different person for it, is number 5 in the jungle. So we have Ian, Javante, and Jackie Chan. Let's talk a bit about this. So you want to go first on Javante Manwalrus, defend your boy?
All right, so this is interesting. This is not going to be the I can tell it's not going to be the most popular choice, but I think that it's also a little bit close. But the reason I have Javante here is that I've played on a team obviously with him, so I do kind of know him. But he has incredibly high highs and incredibly low lows. Like if he tilts hard, right? But if he gets like ahead, he can potentially carry the game. He's kind of like he's a little bit like ropey in that sense, but I don't think he has as high of like his highs aren't as high, and I think his lows are lower. But I would still take that over. I don't know about Jackie Chan 3. He's only played one series, so I can't really say that much about him. I'm pretty sure I would get like lynched for saying Blazing Hot wasn't the worst like player in like the entire league, so I can't talk about him. Then I think that after Ian V3 went 0-10 on AP Sejuani in our game, I cannot put him top 5. That was interesting, but yeah, that's why I've got him there.
Go Fug. I want to defend Ian later.
I just put Jackie Chan. Okay, maybe it's just because I'm used to seeing Dax Reaper, but like when I saw them with an actual jungler and playing, and like they've been winning a lot since they put in Jackie Chan 2, I'm just like, oh my god, Jackie's unlocked the boys, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like something he's bringing to that team's making them start to win a lot of games. Maybe it's just that they don't have Dax Reaper on the roster, which a lot of people were shit-talking for just, like, the invisible jungler, you know
He was our
permanent
bottom
classic
top
star.
jungler.
Yeah, anyways, so I mean, it might just be biased because I'm comparing him to Dax Reaper, but I feel like he's, like, one of the big reasons this team's going up. I don't know if it's his personality or if he's just an easier tool to use than Dax was and more willing to play around certain players. I don't know, but I think he's bringing something that's helping this team win a lot of games, so I gotta kind of respect my boy here. And I think, as he stated out with like Ian going like 0-10 times and Javante having like tilt games, I haven't really seen Jackie Chan like hard tilt yet, so I think he's just kind of been like the calm, like steady jungler that their team needs, so that's why I'm putting him number 5.
Okay, so I technically have a tie for 5. I would probably put Jackie Chan there, but I'm gonna put my boy Ian there because he had like, from what I heard, I forget who said it, but someone was saying that he was like lagging majority of like every series he's played, just playing on some bad ping or whatever. Either way, his series against Desolate was super good. He played Zac really well. I don't know if you guys saw his ultimates, but he pulled back people just like every single fight. He pulls someone in and they just die. It's just every single time. And then game 2, he played Warwick and literally just, he was like, IRL, get on my back, we're going on a ride, and he just carried his team. He did, like I said, he did have the AP, Sejuani game. That was real unlucky, I'll be honest. But like the series against JVs, he played pretty good. Like, his Amumu was alright, but he was there to CC for his team. That's exactly what he did. And the game before that, he played Warwick and he went 4-4-17. He just gave kills to Igler. He went 10-0. Like, he's doing his job for these last 2 series, which is why I think he's just better than Jackie. Just because I don't think Jackie has the same supporting cast that Ian does.
All right, so the last thing I guess I'll ask about, because Astrus seems to be the guy disagreeing with us, is just in ADC role. You put Edzy down there, and I don't think either of us have Edzy on it. So Edzy kind of had, in my opinion, the reason I didn't put him is he seemed like the kind of rusty ADC style where he remembers how to lane. His laning phase looked pretty good. He was playing kind of an old school champion Caitlyn, and then late game it just seemed like he just didn't really know where to put himself in team fights. I'm kind of like the AD carry. The whole point of it is to be like the carry, right? So I feel like I'd rather have someone who like doesn't really know what they're doing in lane and just like plays safe and gets down a bit of CS and then pops off late game, than the guy who's really good in lane and then just has no idea how to position late game and just dies over and over again, which kind of felt like what Edzy happened. I mean, he was also playing against a Talon, which is for sure hard, but he didn't seem like he did that much in the late game team fights, which is why I didn't include him up there.
So I think with Edzy, he hasn't played much in general, like League at all. So I mean, I got bench because I played horribly, and definitely he should have played there. But one, you're playing against Seacrank and Sharkbait, which are honestly, let's be honest with ourselves, definitely top 5 in both roles. I mean, I put them top 3, but you guys definitely rank them a little lower in bias for powerfully. But whatever. I don't think Drowsy is as good of a player on a skill level as Edzy is, like any shape, way, or form. Powerfully definitely puts Drowsy on his back and just tells him how to lane and carries him through the lane and does anything. Powerfully also goes around the map and carries the rest of the team too. So, like, Drowsy's not, in my opinion, like, he's definitely the weak link of GBC. Whereas Edzy, give him yet again practice, and he, like I said, he hasn't played at all. Give him another series. He played 1 game. He's definitely just a better skill level than Drowsy, like 100%.
Okay.
Do we get to talk about like bot lanes at all anymore? Just because like I have Puff on there and you guys don't. Is that something we want to discuss?
Yeah, we can talk about it. Puff's been raging in chat the whole time, asking why we don't have him, so we can we can go into it for sure. I guess my only reason would be that I think Sharkbait's been looking a lot more consistent recently, and especially I think he's one of the people that pulls out like a few supports that only he looks really good on, like the Shen especially. I think he looks really good on it, and not that many other people are pulling it out, and he actually pulls like a few bans just because he plays like weird champ role. He's definitely not as consistent as Puff, but I think that's like a pretty good quality to have. And then the only other reason I have Diamond 3 Lucian is just because he actually looked pretty good with both like Edzy and with Astrus. And before, I kind of just thought it was like, okay, Astrus is just telling him absolutely everything what to do, and he's just like a little robot, right? But, like, it's actually a pretty good sign that someone can like have a new ADC brought in he's like never played with, and he just like randomly plays lane like really good with him. Like him and Edzy played that lane really good, and I felt like the support has to be somewhat knowledgeable for that to actually work out. If for him to be able to like just swap ADCs like that. So that's my reasoning for putting him up there.
The reason I have Puff on there is just because he's been like kind of in the background a bit on Hash. He's kind of like, everyone's like talking about Little Group being really good, but it's like someone has to like enable this guy every game, and Puff's been like consistently good pretty much ever since he moved there onto the support role. And he has I think he actually has, now that Uckler's gone, the best vision score, like vision stats I think in the league right now, if I'm correct. I just think that he's been doing like a good job, and people haven't really been noticing it that much, so that's why I've got him on there.
I want to point out that vision stats can get incredibly like swelled up if you just put a ward in the tribush every single second and someone clears it. By the way, I still don't think Puff is as consistent as Sharkbait, which in my opinion Sharkbait isn't consistent. I also don't think I've seen Puff Nasty do like insane plays. The only play I've ever seen him do that was crazy was when he flashed on me and queued me, and that was like a bread and butter Morgana play, just me stepping too far forward. So I've never seen Puff like do anything crazy. Like he played Morgana and he shielded his AD carry, and he played Tom Kench and W'd his AD carry. It's not, he hasn't done anything to like put him above any of the other players here. Whereas I think the top 4 players here have been consistently better than Puff Nasty, just like by a long shot. And then Diamond 3 Lucian or Inksy, whatever you want to call him, he is definitely like a more value support player. And like Fug said, he plays really well with 280 carries. And I think he's just consistent. He's been popping off on Braum too, so whatever.
Yeah. Another one, I'd like to quick shout out. My boy Karama made it top 5 in every list this week. Congratulations. And I think he's averaged 3rd this time, which is, I think, by far his highest rating. So good for him. Consistent performances, long enough time. Eventually you'll make it to the top 5.
Kurama is to mid lane as Kiyoshi is to top lane. He's basically like the anti-carry of the lane, where everyone thinks they're gonna like beat him super hard, but then he kind of just turns around and beats you. So
don't
he
say that
also
around
has
DTS.
one of the best counter pick champ pools in mid lane.
yeah,
I think.
his champ pool's super frustrating to play against. It's fun for us to do drafts with him because
definitely surprising when you play against him, because he looks super polished in some like niche champions like the Lissandra and the Asol and other stuff like that. So definitely hard to pick ban against him. I will say, like, for just individual like smashing their lanes, I think DTS Independence Charlie are a little more consistent on that, where Krama's more like play around with Loker and like do things together and get a good counter pick and snowball off that kind of thing, where I think the other ones are more just like make their own advantage and get a big CS lead kind of players. So that's the only reason I have them above Kurama. But yeah, I think he's been playing super solid for a while, so by the time he moved up. The other one I guess I'll ask about is Hide on Blake versus Pickaxe. I think Pickaxe is a lot more, at least from what I heard about him, of a shot calling player than Hide on Blake, which is one of the reasons I'm assuming you guys are putting him up there, because he does seem to have like really good, like at least teams that play with him seem to just always have good Baron control and like general like shot calling around objectives. But I think that Hide on Blake the last few weeks has just been really popping off and looked super good. Like when he's playing against Warpack mid lane, he like dicked on him the first game, and like Warpack
I think you're remembering the wrong game.
The first game? You mean the one where he flame horizon did him and 2v1'd him in his jungler top lane? I'm pretty sure I'm remembering the right game.
Yeah, but he's like down, and then the game 2 he's down too. Like I don't know, his Orianna was very safe. Yeah, he did CS a lot in the first game. He basically just CS the whole game. But like his Orianna, let me rephrase this. He had really good Orianna ults and then really bad Orianna ults. It wasn't something that like he was just like doing insane.
Yeah, but again, like it was a good matchup, but he's laning against like, okay, people are calling it Warpack boosted or whatever, but he was laning against someone who's considered like top 2 mid laner in the league and is like a D1 player, and he looked like really good against him. So that's my main reason for like bumping him up to the 5th position, because I think a lot of the other lower mid laners might have gotten like handled by Warpack a lot harder. And I think Pickaxe's like overall laning is a little bit weaker, although I think his like team play is better.
The reason I have him there is his team play. Actually, the entire reason that we won our series versus Jabezus was because we subbed in Pickaxe and he called a 20-minute Baron and it worked. Like, I'm not ashamed to admit that. He basically was like, oh, let's do Baron at 20 minutes, right? And that's kind of a bit of a meme that Pickaxe always tries to do Baron at 20 minutes, but he's actually very vocal, very good shot caller, and also a lot like Kurama, he has a kind of a weird champion pool.
Yeah, and shout out to Flame Dev. Seems like that Flame Dev guy is gonna have to prove himself this week, for sure. I think definite. I mean, it happens to a lot of new players, right? He came in against Charlie, a big talked up player, and he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna dump on this kid," blah blah blah. And I think he just disrespected him a little too hard. I think Flame Dev didn't look like terrible, but it was definitely a case of not respecting Charlie enough. It looked like, to me at least, in his series. So I'm hoping he'll have a better series next week, because he's playing against DTS, right? So,
Yeah.
And I think that's their only game they have left, right? So he's only gonna have one more shot, I guess, to prove himself. But he's playing against who's referred to as the best mid in the league, so definite place for him to prove himself.
Best mid in the league, wrong. Independent, sorry.
Okay, I'm saying overall he's rated like 1.
Wait, no, I have Warpack 0, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Warpack's rated 0 above 1, but yeah. Alright, anyways, that's all I gotta say. You guys good?
Whoa, we got we're done with this. We got the favorite,
right. You want
best section.
I forgot. Okay.
You always forget.
If anyone in the chat has a question about who any of us think, Like, I know the usual one we've been doing in the past is like worst in each role or something like that. Just any meme questions along those lines you want to ask, worst mental, those kind of things. Feel free. For now, we're just going to start off with the shit talk one that Astrus likes the most, which is worst in each role, which is actually changing it up because for top lane, Blazing Hot is no longer top. He's actually moved to jungle, and I don't even think he's that bad jungle. So, what's your guys' new worst top now that he's moved out? I think it might be his replacement, unfortunately, for him. The roll up, fruit roll up.
Roll up was. Go, Manwalrus. Just
All right,
go.
well, I mean, I just don't know if we've seen quite enough of him yet to like make a definitive statement. But yeah, he did not look so great in that series.
Yeah, I think just based on the fact we only have like one series with him, and that he didn't look very good in it, I'd probably put him there. I think a lot of the other top, I mean, top is kind of like meme, like put the guy in a tank role, which is kind of like Tim T, Freshburger, Josiden's like thing. So it's like pretty easy to look consistent top, but obviously since he's only played one series and didn't look good, he looks less consistent than the other top players. So that'd be my pick. As for jungle, that one's actually pretty hard because it actually got shaken up a bit because, as you said, Ian had the one bad game, but we did have him in the top 5 and 1. It's like debatable. Same with Jackie Chan. I think my lowest would be Javante, just because I think he's had the highest percentage of weak games. But I think you could make an argument for Blazing Hot as well. But I think Blazing, at least, okay,
We haven't seen him play jungle
Blazing
yet,
Hot,
so I think Blazing Hot's exempt this week.
I have a lot of inside knowledge against it, but I think Blazing Hot's actually a lot better jungle than he is top. So
I would agree with you as well.
Gonna have to
He's
put
subbed on our team
Fizzy,
for a while.
100%.
oh yeah, Fizzy's
That doesn't
Javante
so
for anyone
bad.
who doesn't know it by that name. So after, well, oh wait, I have them in the wrong name. Ornhub is Teemo, Orn or whatever. So after just playing against Teemo, what's your thoughts? Did they even use Fizzy in those games actually?
No, they pulled in like random emergency subs.
Oh right, they had a bunch of emergency subs. That's right. They had
Yeah,
two
it was
or
basically
three.
just both teams trolling for like 2 games. It was interesting.
Yeah, definitely something else. Mid lane's also another hard one just because it's so friggin' stacked, right? Like we have like Kurama, Independence, Haidon Blake, Charlie Smells, DTS. I think all pickaxe as well would agree is like upper echelon. So just kind of leaves Flame Dav and Hamlet to pick between, right? As like the two outliers.
Hey, Hamlet looked really good on jungle today.
Yeah.
But
I
then on
actually
mid
didn't
lane,
see. I was scrimming.
He got
during the
like
series, so I didn't get to watch
he
it
got
all.
like negative kindred marks. To be fair, we kind of
Yeah, he didn't do anything with marks. I actually explained that in the cast today. I was like, he's trolling.
I haven't seen much of Flame Dev, so I don't really want to like say too much about him. But I guess it's
So
kind of
we're
the,
going with
the
Hamlet?
roll-up thing as well. I just think Hamlet's had so many bad series that I kind of have to believe Flame Dev will prove better.
Although I feel kind of bad for Hamlet. I'd have to put him there because we haven't seen enough of Flame Dev to like make a judgment yet, I think. But I feel super bad because they obviously built Ornhub like at the beginning of the season. Now Teemo, I guess,
to be,
around like
the Hamlet dream team.
around like Hamlet and Overrate, you know, the 2 star players, quote unquote, of you know, Ornhub 2.0 from last time. Like they're just gonna use all their points on that and then get a gold bot lane. And then the meta changed and Hamlet hasn't looked nearly as good. Overrate left the team and they have a gold bot lane. And it's just like
Yeah.
it's
And they had subs that came in that were
Yikes.
silver, so
yeah, they had silver subs today. It's not looking good for them.
Yeah.
I mean they're out at this point.
Their
There's
entire like strategy for building their team backfired, so it's just
I think,
feels bad for them.
unfortunately for their team too, I think it's basically the gold bot lane who I would put as the net bottom for the next two.
Yes, I would agree because I just played against them.
No, I'm gonna disagree.
Disagree.
I'm putting Rhino.
You think Rhino?
I think Rhino has been. Svensson hasn't played, so I can't. Well, Svensson played one
this
game.
last series, I
Svensson
think.
played this
He
series.
played one. Did he play one game? Then he left.
He played
I
the
think-
first game. Yeah.
Okay, I guess it's kind of Rhino looks better on Lucian than Svensson looks on anything, but Svensson looks better on Misfortune than Rhino looks on anything that isn't Lucian.
Yeah, they're
So
definitely one-trick players, but I don't know. I don't see Rhino doing
I think
anything
Rhino's
over.
actually solo carried a game on Lucian though, is the main thing. Like Svensson's had good
Yeah, so
games
Svensson.
on MF, but I don't think he's been like the solo carry. Like their
He's-
wins were like he did better than expected, and then Overrater Hamilton carried the game.
There
Or,
was
like, their
literally a
wins.
game where he like popped off. He just like MF ulted like 5 people like 3 times in a row.
Svensson
won.
also played Flash Ignite Xin support against us today.
Yeah, let's not talk about what happened. today.
Yeah, I had this stream like on my other monitor while I was playing a scrim, and I was just like looking at the matchups and like, what the hell is going on?
We had no idea where they were going until like they hit lanes. It was crazy.
So this is gonna be a
Yo,
this is
one
a
thing I will
Panda
say
Parade
though,
last fight.
Panda Parade mid lane is actually better than her support. I think the Swain
I would agree.
was actually not that bad.
Yeah, he Chia did all right, I guess.
Yeah, she
If
was
he
looking like
misplayed lane,
one of the best
but-
players on her team on the Swain.
And Ari too. She just misplayed the lane horribly.
I didn't see the second game as much as I did the first, but yeah.
She wasn't looking too bad. So who are we saying? Master Gems at that point?
Nah, Master Gems look decent.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
not
but look
bad.
at the rest of the supports on the.
I know, but
No. I'm saying
have to
I
say
am going
Panda
with Panda
Parade.
Parade for
Yeah.
our support. I'm just saying like
'Cause
she
it's-
actually looked
yeah.
decent as a mid laner, but I'm still
Yeah.
putting her as probably the worst support.
I would agree there.
Just because her champ pool is very awkward, I feel like, for this meta, and then also she just kind of has the typical like e-girl playstyle of like pray they don't engage on me.
I also watched a game where she hit level 9 and upgraded her warding trinket to a scrying orb and not a sweeper, and I just kind of turned off the stream then. And I was like, that hurts my soul.
But hey,
But-
shout out to or not Ornhub anymore, Timo for picking up a girl. I think she's the only one in the league, so good for them. Get our ratios up.
Oh, you know what's something I promised to do here?
already have
actually,
fresh
by the
burger.
way? I just need to say this because it's been a sort of an interesting topic of conversation. It is Aizen for our AD carry, not
Oh,
Isan.
Thank you.
It's Aizen. It tilts the crap out of everyone on our
Yeah, I
team.
know.
Whenever
I have
you
this
hear
problem
Isan.
where I said Aizen correctly the first time, but then since so many people got it wrong, I always am about to say Aizen, and then I'm like, oh shit, everyone gets it wrong, right? I better go with Isan. And then I
Yeah.
say it wrong, and then they're like, no, you got it right, and I'm like, yikes.
So
Oops.
let it be known, it is Aizen.
There we go, boys. All right, so that should wrap it up for real this time. I'm not forgetting any more slides, I don't think. No, I'm not. Okay, so thank you, Manwalrus, for joining us. Thank you, Astrus, as always, for helping me host. And we'll see you guys next week. And I think we're going to do actually a bigger show next week with maybe a few guests because it's the end of the season. No plan as of yet, but if anyone wants to hit up the suggestions channel and tell us anything you want us to have for the end of the season wrap up, feel free, and we'll see you then.
Let's be honest. Wait, did you
Wait,
do the cuss game?
it's still loud. Sorry, I thought. I
Okay,
didn't know if
let's
either of
be
you
let's
wanted
be
to
honest
say
here.
goodbye.
You say that we have no plan, and we literally just whip it like 10 minutes before the show.
Well, I mean, I
so-
did also write in like 3 of the matchups wrong. If that's any indication of
Yeah.
how,
Yeah.
how I set it up. League rank kind of guess. We'll see. I'm okay. I guess I'll put this in for now since I was saying last suggestions. I was thinking about doing a thing where basically I get like one person from each team to like a call-in thing or something like that. So like a bunch of people will be in general, and we'll just pull people in as they want to talk about a topic and let them like do their little spiel. Because I have like a ridiculous number of people who have asked to be on this show, and obviously we can't fit everyone because we like, okay, the shows are already like over an hour every time. We only have one freaking guest. So if I actually had like 3 or 4 people every show, it would never freaking end. So I don't really want to bring that people, so we might just completely change the format to like more of a podcast kind of thing where we let like people like ask questions in person, we'll discuss it, and then move on to the next person kind of thing. So we'll see. That's what I'm thinking about doing right now though. Your mom could fit everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Yanksu. Anyways,
my mom.
goodbye for real, boys.